There was an idea to bring together a couple of remarkably silly people, watch movies, and see if they could make a podcast. See if they could record together when we needed them to watch the movies everyone else had already seen. That's right, we have finally assembled to watch the culmination of Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, 2012's The Avengers. So suit up alongside Earth's mightiest heroes on this episode of Blind Spots and Second Thoughts. Welcome to another episode of Blind Spots and Second Thoughts. I'm Dan.
I'm Heather.
And Heather, we are finally here. We are at the climax of Phase 1 of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the cultural juggernaut, the highest grossing movie of all time that isn't directed by James Cameron, The Avengers.
I was really confused because when you said the climax, I'm like, I was given to understand that there are 1,000 more movies after this.
There are quite a few movies. This is the climax
Phase 1.
Phase 1.
That makes more sense.
Heather, what do you know about this movie, The Avengers?
I don't know that much about it. I believe it was directed by Joss Whedon. Because we talked about that in a previous episode. Otherwise, I would not have known that.
Mm-hmm. What else do you know?
I don't really know anything about the plot. I'm assuming that it is a gathering of the gang that we have been assembling thus far on our MCU journey. But as for what they do once they're together, no clue.
At this point, you have met the OG 6 Avengers.
Are you going to ask me to name them?
Yes.
Or are you? Okay. Iron Man. The Hulk. Captain America.
Yes.
Thor.
Yes.
Black Widow. And Hawkeye.
Hawkeye.
I did it.
I bet
that was 6, right?
Yes. And I would be willing to bet that the only reason you remembered Hawkeye is because you just re-listened to our Thor episode.
No, I would have known that. I would have remembered Hawkeye because of MASH. I knew that there was a Hawkeye in the Avengers because I would hear the name and be like, but wasn't Hawkeye on MASH?
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
Do you have any guesses about who the villain is in this movie?
Ooh. I don't have any guesses. Is it a villain? Is it someone we've already met in one of the previous films?
It might be.
Okay, so who were the villains? There have been so many villains.
So Iron Man 1 was Obadiah Stane and
Jeff
also
Bridges.
the 10 Rings.
Right, okay. The Incredible Hulk was General Dad the villain? Because I think of him as being...
An abomination.
An abomination. Then there was Thor.
Thor, yeah.
Which was Loki.
And the Frost Giants.
Iron
Man 2.
Ivan.
Yeah,
and
Ivan Vanko.
Sammy
Justin
Rocks.
Hammer. Yeah.
And then Captain America was the Nazis.
The Red Skull. Well, Hydra and the Red Skull.
So I remember some things.
Yeah.
Is it all of them? Are they all gonna... Because there are villain leagues too, right? That's my impression from comic book world, is that sometimes, so we have our friends that all join up to be the good guy gang, and then the villains join up to be the bad guy gang.
Right.
Okay. So maybe that's what's going to happen.
It might be.
Okay.
Who knows? I guess we'll have to find out.
So I was thinking about it though, because as you mentioned, I was just re-listening to our Thor episode. So I'm like, okay, so like Tony Stark, he is where he is. The Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner was, I don't remember where he went at the end of that movie. He was in Brazil at the beginning, and then at the end, he's just back.
He's still hiding out, but he's
hiding out,
learning to control his Hulk out.
Black Widow is just here. Hawkeye seems to be
Yeah, they're both working
Hawkeye
for S.H.I.E.L.D.
seems to just be here. Captain America, now in the future. Started out in the 40s. Now he's present day.
Correct.
Thor was back in Asgard. So how's that going to work is my question.
That's an excellent question. I suppose the movie will have to answer that.
I suppose.
Anything else you want out of the Avengers movie?
I want some snarky dialogue, and I feel pretty confident that I'm going to get that.
That's a good guess. First assembled in The Avengers #1, published in September of 1963.
I remember it well.
The comic featured the team up of superheroes Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, Ant-Man, and the Wasp, who got together to face off against Thor's brother, Loki.
Who's the Wasp? Because I know that Ant-Man is Paul Rudd. Mm-hmm. Am I allowed to know who the Wasp is, or is that way down the road?
It's a little ways down the road.
I'm impatient. Okay.
Technically, there have been 2 Wasps in the MCU.
Like 2 different characters, or the same character played by 2 different actors?
2 different characters who have the moniker of the Wasp.
Okay.
Technically, they are a mother and daughter.
Oh, they're women. Oh my goodness. My internalized misogyny. I'm so ashamed of myself. Wow. All right, I'm going to have to reflect on this.
The Avengers have had a rotating and ever-expanding stable of heroes added to their lineup over the decades, including Captain America, who was thawed and added to the roster in issue #4 and retroactively made a founder. Captain America also typically functions as the Avengers' leader.
That seems weird because he's like from the past and everybody else is pretty much from the present. So like, what does he know about the modern world?
Other prominent Avengers team members include Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, Quicksilver, the Black Panther, and the android Vision. Pretty much all of those characters will turn up in the future of the MCU, but not just yet. One characteristic of the Avengers is that they are often in conflict with each other as much as they are in conflict with external antagonists. And their most well-known catchphrase is Captain America, as he is often the leader of the team, shouting, "Avengers Assemble." This movie was the ambitious twinkle in Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige's eye, going all the way back to the tease after the end credits of Iron Man, the first movie they self-produced after their famous bet to make their own movies. It's hard to imagine now, but this movie still seemed like an ambitious bet. There had been 5 previous Marvel Studios movies, and they'd been all successful, but people were skeptical that you could balance all of these characters and personalities, and you could do it in a way that made sense to people who hadn't necessarily done the homework of watching the previous 5 movies. While Zach Penn wrote the original draft of the script, he only receives story by credit for the film because there was a page 1 rewrite done by the film's writer-director, one Joss Whedon. We recently talked at length about Joss Whedon when we watched Firefly and its sequel movie Serenity. We don't always release our episodes in order, so that may be something to have our listeners go back to or to look forward to. But either way, we probably shouldn't retread too much of that conversation here. Whedon was, at this point, a risky pick to helm this movie. While he was known for his TV shows Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Angel, and of course, Firefly, he had only directed 1 feature film, and that was Serenity, which did not exactly set the box office on fire. He was selected because, in addition to his film and TV work, he'd actually written for Marvel Comics, writing several comic series for them in the 2000s. In a 2010 interview with MTV News, Kevin Feige said they hired Whedon because "We hire directors who have the potential to do great things, and we want our film to be that great thing." The bet paid off because, as I mentioned at the top, The Avengers, during its theatrical release, became the 3rd highest grossing film of all time, not adjusted for inflation, behind Titanic and Avatar.
Oh, I could have guessed those. You should have let me guess.
It has since fallen and currently rests at the number 12 spot on the list, but adjusted for inflation, it sits at number 5 between Star Wars at number 4 and The Sound of Music at number 6.
Aw, good for The Sound of Music.
Do you know what the number 1 is for all time?
All time. Is it one of the movies you already mentioned? Is it one of the James? All time. All time.
Adjusted for inflation.
Adjusted for inflation. Is it a Harry Potter movie? Is it an Indiana?
Harry Potter's not even in the top 5.
Is it an Indiana Jones movie?
Oh, no.
What? And probably, what is it? I don't know.
It's Gone with the Wind.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
All time adjusted for inflation, Gone with the Wind. So, This movie, The Avengers, was a smash hit, obviously, and it reshaped superhero movies and the cinema business in general. Lots of movie studio decisions have been made in the wake of this movie, trying to chase the success of Marvel's cinematic universe here. But do you think that you will like this movie?
I'm hopeful that I will, because I have enjoyed the other ones that we've watched, even the ones that I found to be on, well, I said The Incredible Hulk was okay. I said Thor was okay. And I've liked both Iron Man movies and Captain America. So I'm hopeful. I'm excited to see all of these people together. This is going to be Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner now. Is that correct? Okay. So we've got Robert Downey Jr., we've got Mark Ruffalo, Chris Evans. I don't know Jeremy Renner very well, but Scarlett Johansson, Chris Hemsworth. Too many Chris's, but I'll allow it. I'm going to quote Tina Belcher and say, time for the charm bomb to explode. That's what I am predicting for this movie.
I think that's a pretty good prediction, but I suppose there's really only one way to find out. So are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's watch it.
He really grows on you, doesn't he?
Loki's gonna drag this out. So, Thor, what's his play?
He has an army called the Chitauri. They're not of Asgard nor any world known. He means to lead them against your people. They will win him the Earth. In return, I suspect, for the Tesseract.
An army. From outer space.
So he's building another portal. That's what he needs Eric Selvig for.
Selvig?
He's an astrophysicist.
He's a friend.
Loki has him under some kind of spell, along with one of ours.
I want to know why Loki let us take him. He's not leading an army from here.
I don't think we should be focusing on Loki. That guy's brain is a bag full of cats. You could smell crazy on him.
Have care how you speak. Loki is beyond reason, but he is of Asgard. And he is my brother.
He killed 80 people in 2 days.
He's adopted.
I think it's about the mechanics. Iridium. What do they need the iridium for?
It's a stabilizing agent. So I'm just saying, pick a weekend. I'll fly you to Portland. She's love life. Means a portal won't collapse on itself like it did at S.H.I.E.L.D. No hard feelings, Point Break. You got a mean swing. Also, means the portal can open as wide and stay open as long as Loki wants. Raise the missing mast. Ship the top sails. That man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
All right, Heather, that was The Avengers. What did you think?
I liked it. It was fun. It was good.
It is a lot of fun. It is. On the director's commentary, Joss Whedon says, he says something to the extent of, it's not necessarily a good film, but it's a fun movie. And it's a fun adventure ride. And it is. I think
it is, yeah.
The first act is a little messy, but it really comes together by the third act. And it has everything that makes superhero movies great. It understands these characters. It gives them all time to shine. It tells a fun story, and they punch a bunch of bad guys and they save the world, and it's a lot of fun. So I still love this movie. It's still pretty great.
No, I really enjoyed it. There were points where I didn't understand exactly what was happening in the grander scheme of, what Loki was doing exactly. So there were parts where I was like, I'm not really sure what's going on, but I'm still enjoying it. Wouldn't necessarily characterize this as a romp.
Not a romp.
No, not a romp. And I can't,
An adventure?
An adventure, yeah. It was a good time, but it wasn't a romp.
A good time, but not a romp.
Yeah. I got to firm up my definitions of these things, but yeah. There was too much. Loki was trying to subjugate the earth. I just feel like it can't be a romp when those are the stakes. But I still had a lot of fun.
Were you happy to see Tom Hiddleston as Loki? You didn't know he was going to be in it.
Yeah, so I think you asked me if I had a prediction of who the villain was going to be, and we talked about the villains and all of these characters' individual stories. I think that if you had told me it's one villain from one of the movies, guess who it is? I don't know that I would have said Loki, but I was happy to see him. He was great. The acting was great. I loved but he especially is a phenomenal actor.
He is fantastic. He really throws himself into this role. This is this larger than life Asgardian villain, and you could tell he just has so much fun playing it and sinking his teeth into it.
It doesn't feel like a caricature, really. It feels very genuine, even though it is very big.
Mm-hmm.
There's a scene where he's talking to, now I can't remember. I made a note about how good his acting is. He's talking to one other character. They're having like a debate because there's so many characters in this movie. Now I can't remember. It's not Thor.
It's either the ones who he interacts with the most he has a scene with Nick Fury and he has a scene with Widow. If it's not Thor.
No, I don't think it's.
Unless it's the scene where he and Tony have their little conversation while Tony is.
Yes. I think it is that scene. And it's like kind of philosophical almost, the conversation they're having. And I was like, wow, he is such a good actor.
The movie's a lot of fun. I didn't know until we were researching this podcast.
Sorry. It was with Black Widow. Okay. I'm looking at my notes again.
I didn't know until starting to research for this episode that Loki was the original villain in the first issue of the Avengers. So I think it's nice. I thought that the reason they chose Loki was just adjacency and that Tom Hiddleston is great, but it turns out that that's also a callback to the original comics. So the movie is a lot of fun. I do think the first act is a bit rough. It seems like there's a lot of exposition and a lot of moments that feel more like a TV show. Like it really does. In a lot of ways, it feels a lot like a TV show. But it really does come together in the third act, and it's just a lot of fun. It's a very fun ride. All the characters, other than Tom Hiddleston, everyone is firing on all cylinders. All cylinders?
Cylinders.
Everyone is firing on all cylinders.
You mean like in addition to Tom Hiddleston?
Yes.
You're like, other than him, they're all good. No, he's good and they're all good.
Correct.
Okay.
It is faithful to the comic books without being overly reverential to them. So it does a lot of fun things. It introduces a lot of stuff to the universe. It sets the foundation. It's, like I said, it changed the face of filmmaking. You know, DC Studios saw what the Avengers did and then very hurriedly tried to reproduce its success, jumping into something like what they had with the Avengers, arguably too quickly, because the Avengers did have 5 movies leading up to it. And, other studios trying to reproduce a cinematic universe, very famously the Universal Dark Universe that never got off the ground, really, that tanked with Tom Cruise's Mummy.
Oh yeah,
that was supposed to be. Those are
the classic monsters, right?
Yeah, they were going to do that again with updated versions, and they made exactly 2 movies. Russell Crowe was going to be the Samuel L. Jackson of that universe, who was going to bring everyone together. But and they even had they had this very ambitious spread where they had all the people they'd cast for these future movies. I think an Entertainment Weekly spread or something like that. And then the Mummy flopped hard.
I would be very interested to know what exactly the concept would be for bringing all of the Dark Universe classic monsters together, because it makes sense to bring together a bunch of superheroes to be a superhero coalition. Doesn't really make sense to bring together a bunch of monsters who have bases in different mythology and cultural backgrounds for how they came to exist as ideas.
And were you in a meeting with a Universal Studio executive, you would have been fired for that opinion.
Oh. Okay. Well, good thing I wasn't.
But that's the Avengers. That's
It had it all. I laughed. I cried. I will say that's true because there were some very funny moments and then there were some heart-wrenching moments. But I think you mentioned when we were recording the intro that there's some conflict between the Avengers and not just between them as a group and the villain. And I wasn't really sure exactly what to expect in terms of what the genesis of that conflict, that internal conflict would be. But I really liked it because it wasn't so much I'm the biggest and the strongest. I'm the best. I'm the one who wants to be the leader. It was more philosophical than that in terms of their perspective on just the bigger picture of what's happening, and their differences of opinion felt rooted in who they are as people and not just as superheroes. So I liked that.
Okay. One of the things...
Do you agree?
Yeah, it's, they take these characters who all have differing egos and all these different motivations. And yeah, they find a very good balance of making these characters work and making you understand that these are people who wouldn't necessarily be a team, but how do we make them into a team?
Yeah.
And how do they actually gel and coalesce?
There's a good scene between Tony and Steve later on, and we can talk about it a little bit more when we get to that part of the recap, but where I was like, this is a really intriguing conversation they're having about their belief systems and who they are as people. So I think that was pretty cool.
I think the movie definitely plays to Joss Whedon's strengths as a writer. I think this was probably, honestly, we talked a lot about who Whedon is as a person, and he's created a lot of stuff I really liked, and he's created some other stuff that is definitely questionable at best, if not problematic. This probably was the beginning of the end for him because he did this when he was still the underdog. He had been kind of top dog in the nerdy TV world, but hadn't really found success in movies, which are traditionally viewed as much more important. And this is, a huge property. And so being given the opportunity to helm this movie, he does. And it's a massive global success. Still, again, number 5 movie adjusted for inflation of all time. So that probably just sent his ego into overdrive and really...
And it didn't need that.
really exacerbated all of those problems that he had as the alpha nerd, as I said in our Firefly Serenity episode. But the movie definitely plays to his strengths. The dialogue is crackling. It's fun. The characterizations are on point for everyone. He's able to do a lot with very little. And, and this comes from, I believe, a TV writing background where you have to get the most information across in the quickest way. And the movie definitely benefits from that because there's a lot of very punchy lines that also deliver a lot of really important information that work very well. And the other thing is, Whedon's worst tendencies, especially his attitudes about women, are not necessarily on display here. I think the movie does not technically pass Bechdel because the 3 most prominent female characters are Natasha and Maria Hill and Pepper Potts. And
is Maria Hill Kobe Smulders?
Yes.
Did we learn her name?
Yes.
Oh.
But they never really interact. There might be a brief moment where Widow and Hill say hi to each other or something like that. So that might pass on a technicality.
It's not really the true spirit of the test.
Right. But they're also not... None of them are, Pepper Potts is a romantic interest, but she wasn't established as a romantic interest in this movie, and her existence is not just as a romantic interest. And the other 2 characters are not romantic interests and are not pining away for men the whole movie. So, A for effort, but F for, or D- anyway, for the Bechdel test.
Yeah, well, it's not the only way of gauging representation of women in movies.
This movie is, I think, probably exempt from a lot of the issues. But as we get into the next phase of the Marvel universe, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, there were background things at play that actually really did hamper the female representation and
cool.
some of the other things. And we'll talk more about that as we get into it and talk about the relevance of those decisions and who is making those decisions when we get to the relevant movies. Probably a lot of that will be in the next Avengers movie. So look forward to that, I guess.
Okay, I will.
But yeah, do you have any other thoughts before we jump into the recap?
No, let's get to the recap.
Okay. So the movie begins with the Tesseract over studio logos. You mentioned that in Community, it was referred to as the Cosmic Cube. The Cosmic Cube was the nickname for it, or the name for it, in the comics. They stuck with the Tesseract. That's what they called it in Captain America. You'll remember it was the MacGuffin for Captain America. And so they stuck with that for this movie. But it's the Tesseract, the Cosmic Cube. They are more or less the
well,
same
even
thing.
even if Abed was referring to the movie for a show like Community, I think they would go with the term that's a little bit more accessible, which is Cosmic Cube. That's a little more broadly understandable than Tesseract.
We have a little bit of expository narration by a character called the Other, who is not named.
Yeah, I gotta be honest. I did not know that this was a new character. I was like, is this just some creature we've seen before? That like I have like creature blindness where I'm just like, oh,
you're like, I don't see creatures.
Exactly.
It's very progressive of you.
Where I don't know, there's just something where I'm like, oh, it's probably just something that we've encountered before. But then when I was reading after we watched it, I'm like, oh no, that I should have been like, what's this about? And instead I was like, do.
Yeah, no, it's a new guy.
Okay.
He's called the Other, played by Alexis Denisof in a lot of makeup. I don't know if you would know him. He is a staple of Joss Whedon TV programs. He was on Buffy and Angel, playing a character there. I knew him as a character on Dollhouse. He actually plays a fairly important character on the Joss Whedon show Dollhouse. He's a that guy kind of, but he's sort of a lower tiered that guy.
Okay.
He is completely unrecognizable in the makeup and the outfit they have, and he's doing a weird voice. So like, it's so funny that he's the one, because when I looked it up, I was like, oh, that guy, really?
Well, I was just gonna say, I think that if we want to say that there are tiers of that guys, there's top tier is that guy ! And then the next tier down is that guy ? So there's that guy, and then that guy.
Maybe there's a period in between.
Oh, maybe.
Them. So there's that guy, and then there's that guy, and then there's that guy.
Yeah, I love it. This is gonna take off, I think.
So Alexis Denisof is that guy. I think
Okay.
probably. The music kicks in with the exciting strings. I'll take a moment to talk a little bit about the music now. One of the things that works so well about this is Alan Silvestri's score. I think he completely knocked it out of the park. It's hard to do a hummable theme, a superhero theme. You know, John Williams, before this movie, I would say John Williams kind of cornered the market on it. Someone who's maybe a nerd like me might know the Sam Raimi Spider-Man themes. But other than that, when you think of superhero themes, you pretty much think of
Nothing.
well, 1979 Superman. Oh, and Batman, 1989 Batman. So Tim Burton's Batman theme is also.
How does that go?
Da 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 da.
Okay, sort
Da,
of.
da, da, da.
What is Batman?
That would be the 60s TV show Batman.
Okay. I'm very knowledgeable of contemporary media. I'm 102.
I tore Alan Silvestri a new one when we watched Forrest Gump.
Oh, yes.
Because the score for Forrest Gump
Weird.
is so trickly and just overly syrupy and gooey.
Mismatches. It doesn't match what we're seeing on screen.
Right. But the Avengers score, perfect, 10 out of 10. It elevates the movie. I honestly think if it didn't have this score, the movie wouldn't hit quite as hard. So it is the seventh Avenger. Yeah, it makes such a huge difference to the
I feel
movie.
like I know it better than Hawkeye.
You might. Hawkeye does get some more chance to shine
He
later
does
on,
at the end, but
to be fair, Hawkeye spent most of this movie brainwashed as a bad
I
guy.
know,
So.
but that's why I was like, because we really only met him in passing as opposed to the rest of the characters.
Yeah,
and then he gets brainwashed, and I'm like, I mean, how much am I really supposed to care? I feel like I don't know him at all.
No, that's fair. The music kicks in, and we have Coulson in
For some reason, I called him Greggy throughout my notes. I mean, I know his name, but I was.
Well, Clark Gregg.
I
is the
know,
actor's
I
name.
know the character's name though, and I was just like calling him Greggy in my notes.
Agent Coulson is at a joint NASA and SHIELD project somewhere in a desert, I guess. I don't think they ever say where it is, actually. And he greets Maria Hill and Nick Fury arriving via helicopter. Maria Hill, played by Kobe Smulders. So, How I Met Your SHIELD agent.
Nice. You know who her husband is?
I don't.
Taron Killam.
Oh, really? Huh, that's funny. Apparently, runners up for the part of Maria Hill included Jessica Lucas, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and Marina Baccarin.
Oh, okay. Hey, I know all of them.
But Colby Smulders
I think.
did end up getting the part. Maria Hill is, I believe, a larger presence in the comic book. She is more or less Nick Fury's right-hand person. So she will turn up later
You
in the
can
MCU.
definitely tell that even though she doesn't have a ton of time on screen. I feel like she does a lot with what she's given to make herself seem indispensable and important.
I don't know if they ever say her first name, but they do refer to her as Agent Hill several
okay.
times. And Fury calls for her as Hill. So
Okay. I may have missed that.
there's a lot going on in this
There
movie.
is a lot going on.
Fury and Hill have been summoned to this energy project because the Tesseract is acting funny. The base is being evacuated, and Dr. Selvig is there.
Yes, he is.
Dr. Selvig from Thor, played by Stellan Skarsgård. Dr. Selvig says the Tesseract is misbehaving and has started lighting up, even though they were just studying it and they weren't ready to actually begin their experiments. Meanwhile, Hawkeye is watching over from his nest.
He's so broody.
He's brooding up in his nest. He says with his observatory instincts that, well, the cube is a doorway to the other end of space, right? Doors open from both sides.
Oh.
And then, as if on cue, the Tesseract lights up, a portal opens, and there's Loki.
Loki looking creepy but still hot.
He's got a very intense presence, something that might not have been clear and is retconned a little bit. One of the reasons Loki's so intense and acting maybe a little bit out of character in this movie, he's under the influence of the scepter.
Okay,
So he's carrying that scepter around. And that scepter, we'll talk about it when we get to it later on. The scepter obviously has some kind of ability to influence people and take
like a
over
Horcrux.
people. Yeah, okay, it is, sure, it's a Marvel Horcrux. But the scepter can influence people, brainwash them, do whatever. And Loki himself is actually under the influence of the scepter as well.
Thank you for saying that, because I was a little bit confused, because as the movie was going on, I was thinking back, and again, I just re-listened to our Thor episode, and I was like, I kind of thought he was sort of over all of this. And now he wants to like enslave the earth or something. I was very unsure of, it did seem like a huge escalation from when we last saw him.
It was.
I know we saw him at the end of Thor puppeteering Selvig, but I mean, he's a trickster god. So I was like, oh, he's going to get up to some mischief. No, subjugate a planet. Drastic.
He has arrived on Earth to free us from freedom.
Sure.
He takes out a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. guys and then takes control of Hawkeye using the scepter.
He pokes his heart with it.
Yes, he pokes everyone
First,
in
he
the
says,
middle of the chest.
He says, you have heart.
Uh-huh.
There it is. I poke it with my scepter.
And that apparently is how you brainwash someone with the scepter.
And very conveniently, when people get brainwashed, they have glowy blue eyes, so you know that they are brainwashed.
Yes, it's very handy. He also takes over Selvig and brainwashes him.
Okay, so what was going on before? Because he was already sort of was it through the Tesseract? Because he was making Stellan Skarsgård parrot what he wanted to say.
Yeah, that was the end credit sequence, and the idea
it's not
is
canon.
It's canon, but it's like, how he was reaching out through the Tesseract and maybe
so it was
adding
just
a little bit of influence.
Well, but I will say, like, it kind of confused me a little bit because now he's straight up brainwashing him, sort of possessing them to some extent. But I was thinking about that end credit scene and thinking, well, okay, so was it just in that moment that he was doing that, or was he puppeteering Stellan Skarsgård the whole time? And did Stellan Skarsgård know that? He didn't seem to be aware that he had ever been under the influence of Loki.
Everyone who's seen the rest of the Marvel movies is probably yelling at their podcast player right now. What I will say is it maybe makes a little bit more sense further on.
Okay. Well, I haven't seen the other movies, listeners.
I think some of it is they worked a little bit backwards to maybe fit everything together a little bit. So there's a bit of retconning that goes on. There's a bit of things in this movie that get retconned. The short version is I will say that the Tesseract itself likely had a bit of an influence in how people were trying to use it and how Loki was able to reach through the Tesseract and exert some influence on how things going. So he didn't have direct control over Selvig and anybody else, but he was maybe getting things and manipulating people to get to a place where they could open up the Tesseract and he could come through.
My other question about the people that he has brainwashed is, are they basically just automaton slaves that he's using to do his bidding, or are they using skills that they have as...
They're using skills that they have, obviously. So I think the idea is that it just sort of makes them loyal to him and obedient to him, but not necessarily... It doesn't change. Yeah, it doesn't change their, because Hawkeye is mentioning he knows everything, and that's why he's doing everything by the book.
My question was, to what extent are they still themselves? And it seems like for the most part they are. They're following Loki. Okay. Thank you. We are like 2 minutes into the movie. Let's keep going.
Loki escapes with the Tesseract and his band of brainwashed folks. Maria Hill gives chase after Nick Fury is shot, but survives with his bulletproof vest.
Yep.
There's a little bit of a car chase.
The Earth is collapsing.
Yeah, the facility is collapsing because the portal was unstable. The portal that Loki came through was unstable. Fury gets in a helicopter and tries to give chase, but Loki zaps the helicopter down. Fury hops out at the last minute. And then we have Coulson over the radio saying, "What do we do?" And then title card, music swells.
Title card.
Marvel's The Avengers.
Yeah.
The next scene is somewhere in Russia. Black Widow is tied to a chair and being interrogated.
Love this whole thing
by some gangsters.
So much.
This is what Joss Whedon does super, super well. It's a fun dialogue scene. It gives you a chance to understand who Natasha is as a character way better than Iron Man 2 did.
Yeah, I agree with that. What I really love about this scene is that when we see her tied to a chair being interrogated, I, of course, was like, well, she's going to be able to get out of this. So I had faith that she was going to be a badass and, take some names. But there was still a twist on that, in that not only was she able to do that, she was exactly where she was
in control of
the whole situation. And it's so great when Coulson calls her and she's like, "I'm working." Like, this idiot is giving me everything. And then the Russian's like, "I'm not giving you everything." And then what I also love is the payoff of this later, when the same thing happens with Loki.
Right.
It's so great. It's amazing.
It's fantastic writing. It is really good. Like I said, this movie plays to all of Joss Whedon's strengths as a writer.
When it cuts to Coulson on the phone, when she's like, "All right, hold on, I got to get out of this situation. Like, I gotta get out of work." Gotta call out.
She breaks out of the chair, takes out all the Russian goons, and Coulson just waits patiently on the phone.
Kind of listening. It's like there's hold music, but there's not. He's just listening to her like kick these guys' asses. And he's like, it's so good.
It's a really great scene. A really fantastic way to kick off the movie after the cold open. What really gets her attention is Barton's been compromised. And that's what snaps her out, and she springs into action, and then she asks what her orders are as she's walking out, grabs her heels as she's walking out. Also nice touch. And he tells her she needs to get the big guy.
The big guy.
She says, Stark doesn't trust me. And he's like, no, I'm on Stark. You get the big guy.
I was like, literally the big guy, the physically big guy.
So we cut to somewhere in Calcutta. A child running through the streets finds Dr. Bruce Banner, now played by Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
And
did people know?
Going in? Yes.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Like I figured, but like, was it was heavily marketed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh my God. Yes.
And I was there during the time, but I was oblivious. I like Mark Ruffalo a lot better than Edward Norton, just generally.
He's got a much different kind of energy, and I love it. Like Edward Norton, I think, is a fantastic actor, but he also doesn't necessarily have a lot of range, if that makes any kind of sense. Like he basically has this sort of intense nervousness in almost everything that he plays.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of dialed up to different levels depending on what he wants. Whereas Mark Ruffalo's Banner is, and this plays into the line, we'll get to the line later on, but he's got this, he's almost laid back in a way, but there's this undercurrent of rage.
Mark Ruffalo has
so
much range, because I thought he was great in this. And I think about all the other things that I've seen him in. Poor Things. But then he's also in 13 Going on 30 as a love interest. And he's great in that too. He's so good. I love him.
He's really great. So here he's tricked into
Shutter Island. Oh,
you know, I've not seen Shutter Island.
Okay, we're putting that on the list.
Okay. Here he's tricked into going to help. He's in Calcutta helping people with a mysterious, vague sickness.
He's a physicist.
He's a physicist, but I believe he's also an MD.
Oh, is he? Okay. That was not clear to me from The Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. He's a genius.
Well,
He's one of those people that
Who isn't?
He's supposed to be at least as smart, if not smarter, than Tony Stark.
I love their little, I think it's Tony that's like, finally, somebody who's speaking English later on when he's laying down the science.
So it turns out the child was bribed by Natasha to bring Hulk to the outside of town so S.H.I.E.L.D. can ask Dr. Banner to come in. It turns out that the Tesseract emits low-level gamma radiation, and he is the world's expert on gamma radiation.
Of course.
And they don't know that there's anyone else that could help them.
Okay.
This is a fun conversation. I do like, this is Widow Tip's Banner that S.H.I.E.L.D. has had eyes on him the whole time, and also maybe kept other interested parties off his back. So that would be implying that S.H.I.E.L.D. was working against General Dad and trying to keep General Dad away from finding the Hulk.
Great. Well, we did, because we saw Tony and General Dad talking at the end of The Incredible Hulk.
I mentioned, that was definitely retcon.
Okay.
The idea is that there's a short movie that's called The Consultant, and the short movie basically functions as a retcon. And the idea is that they knew that General Dad, I've completely forgot his name, General Ross hates Tony Stark. So this was some 3D chess level movement where they sent Tony Stark to approach General Ross because they knew that that would absolutely make General Ross hate the idea and not want to work with them. So that's the retcon that they worked with. Widow tells Banner that they need him. He has a little bit of fun and pretends to freak out, and she immediately draws a gun, and you see that even though she said that they were all alone, the building was actually surrounded by S.H.I.E.L.D. guys with Hulk,
and he's really equipment, taking it all in stride.
He's having fun with it.
He's so charming.
We have Fury talking to the Security Council. The one recognizable actor in the Security Council is Powers Booth, who is I think he's somewhere between
That's not a name.
He's a that guy period or a that guy exclamation mark, depending on how many things you've seen him in.
Just a short little line, not a full exclamation point.
He's like that guy with an M dash.
Yeah.
The Security Council is urging Fury to use the mysterious Phase 2.
Yeah.
Fury says it's not ready yet.
They call the gang freaks. And I was like, that's not very nice. Now we are enemies.
Fury says even though Phase 2 isn't ready yet, the Avengers initiative is. War isn't won by sentiment, it's won by soldiers. And we cut to Captain America in the boxing gym. Steve Rogers seriously working out some aggression.
Destroying punching bags left, right, and center.
He has a heavy... That's a great visual gag. There's flashbacks for people who maybe missed the previous movie showing his time in World War II and missing Peggy and really working out some aggression on that heavy bag and just absolutely destroying a probably 300-pound heavy bag, whatever that is. And then
he just goes to his
hands
collection
over and he's got 6 more.
Yeah. I'm like, how many does he have total? How many does he go through?
He brought 7 for this workout.
For this workout, okay.
Fury goes to see him, shows him the files on everything. Cap, of course, being familiar with the Tesseract because he stopped Red Skull from using it during World War II. And Cap agrees to help in the fight. Then we have the bit of dialogue where Cap says, I doubt anything would surprise me. And Fury says, $10 says you're wrong. So this movie is incredibly quotable. I was trying to write down all of my favorite quotes and I honestly could not keep up because there are so many great quotes in this movie. So then we find Tony Stark in New York City making adjustments to light up Stark Tower with an arc reactor. We also get him talking to Pepper Potts, played by Gwyneth Paltrow, and Jarvis, again voiced by
Paul Bettany,
correct.
He sounded different to me.
Did he?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's Paul Bettany's voice.
Okay.
Apparently, Robert Downey Jr. really insisted that Gwyneth Paltrow be included in the Avengers. One of the things that Joss Whedon wanted to do to make the Avengers work is to isolate them from their support networks so they have to come together as a team and do that. But Robert Downey Jr. fought real hard to have Gwyneth Paltrow come back as Pepper Potts because he thought she would be fantastic and thought she could bring a lot to it. And
well, that's great. I love that.
Iron Man's suit evolution has continued. Now it's pretty cool that he can walk and be desuited at the same time instead of having to be suited up a little more deliberately in a lab. He and Pepper are having a nice little moment, or 12% of a moment anyway. And then Coulson interrupts, overrides Jarvis's security protocols, and lets himself into their penthouse. This is another occurrence of Tony Stark not liking being handed things. So that's a callback to Iron Man 2, I believe. Tony takes in the situation, agrees to help. We also find out that Agent Coulson has a first name, Phil, and a cellist. But the relationship with the cellist didn't necessarily work out because she moved to Portland, to which Pepper says, boo.
Oh, okay. I misunderstood. I thought he was a cellist.
No, the cellist was his romantic interest. Tony does his homework, starts studying all the crazy things that are happening. Then we have Coulson and Steve on the Quinjet to the carrier. Coulson fanboying over Cap, which is a fun moment. It's awkward, but it's funny.
I thought it was sweet.
Says he updated Cap's uniform because Cap says, aren't the stars and stripes a little old-fashioned? And Coulson says, people might need a little old-fashioned. This uniform, I will say, I think of all the Captain America uniforms, people seem to dislike this one the most.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I get what they were trying to do with it as far as making it look like a traditional Captain America uniform, but updating it. I think the thing that gets the most slack is his sort of little hoodie mask, which doesn't necessarily make sense. I get what they were trying to do with it. I don't hate it, especially now, but a lot of people really are not fans of this iteration of the Captain America uniform.
How long has it been since the events of Captain America? Like, how long has he been living in present day?
Not that long. So maybe like a month at most.
Okay.
It really hasn't been that
Well, then how
long.
does he know it's old fashioned?
He's been catching up.
Okay. Like, can you even imagine if you woke up, if you went to sleep in ice in 1945 or whatever and woke up in, what, 2010?
Mm-hmm.
All that TV that you would have to watch.
Yeah, you might have you might want to keep a journal of all of the things that you missed and need to catch up on. Meanwhile, Loki has a villain lair teeming with bad guys, apparently people who are enemies of S.H.I.E.L.D. and various ne'er-do-wells. They're not all necessarily brainwashed. They're just hired goons, essentially. He opens up an intergalactic Zoom with the Other, has some expositional dialogue. It turns out that Loki and the Other are both working for someone else, but whom is a mystery. It turns out that this mysterious person gave Loki the scepter and promised him an army in exchange for dominion over the earth. Cap and Coulson land on an aircraft carrier. They meet Natasha and Banner. This is good. I like the way that Steve is portrayed here when he meets Banner, and Banner says, I hope that's probably not the only thing you heard about me. And Steve's like, it's the only word that matters. Natasha says, you might want to step inside. It's going to get hard to breathe. They wonder if it's a submarine, but it turns out that no, it's a helicarrier. The Avengers helicarrier is a long-standing bit of the comics that they have a flying aircraft carrier. So they brought that to the movies, and I like the way that they reveal it and bring it up.
Yeah,
it's a helicarrier. It flies. Not terribly practical, but still very cool. And it also has cloak technology on the bottom of it, so they can fly and be hidden from view.
We've already suspended our disbelief.
We're already way into fantastic comic book area. I mean, they make it look, they show little projector thingies, so they make it look kind of plausible. Kind of.
Sure.
Don't think about the physics of what would be required to lift an aircraft carrier.
I don't even know how regular physics works, so it's easy for me to buy in.
But that does make Steve Rogers pay off $10 to Nick Fury. Cap agrees to sign Agent Coulson's trading cards, and we have a brief Agent Jasper Sitwell sighting. Jasper Sitwell briefly also seen in Thor, so he comes up later on. Selvig tells Loki he needs some iridium from a meteor. Hawkeye says he needs a distraction and an eyeball, so that sends Loki to Stuttgart, Germany. Looking dapper as always.
So dapper.
We do get to see Hawkeye in action, even though he's a bad guy, very silently taking out security with his arrows. Those are fun shots. Loki goes, finds some guy making a speech, and in a particularly gruesome scene, uses a very nasty looking eyeball gouging device to take a 3D image of the guy's eyeball and send it to Hawkeye so he can break in and steal the meteor.
I didn't really understand what was happening at first. And then when it clicked, I wrote, oh, I see. No pun intended.
Did you actually write that out in your notes? I love you.
2 lines. Oh, I see. Next line. No pun intended.
Loki engages in some theatrics outside the museum, telling the crowd to kneel. An old German man who seems to have memories of World War II refuses. Before Loki can smoke the old man who is resisting, Cap shows up and blocks him with his shield. Have a fun little corny line of dialogue. The last time I was in Germany and saw a man standing above everybody else, we ended up disagreeing. Cap and Loki fight. Cap punches Loki, and Tom Hiddleston gives him a very quick look like, that shouldn't have hurt. And they have a fight, and then the Quinjet shows up with Widow, and Widow's aiming at Loki but can't get a fix. And then that's when Iron Man shows up.
Okay.
He hijacks the PA system and plays Shoot to Thrill by AC/DC and points all of his guns at Loki, getting Loki to stand down. Loki gets taken into custody, riding on the Quinjet. Tony and Cap meet, have a bit of a moment, and then lightning appears. Thor shows up, joins the movie, lands on the Quinjet, very quickly just walks in, helps himself to Loki, and flies off, which
he plays by his own rules.
Which causes Tony to give chase and then Captain America to parachute down after them. I do like the line, "There's only one God, ma'am," and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
Yeah.
I want to say Joss Whedon on the commentary defends that line because Joss Whedon is very atheistic and like very super about being an atheist. And he's like, just because I'm an atheist doesn't mean that characters I write have to be atheists.
And it makes sense that Steve would think that.
Yeah. Loki and Thor have a conversation on a very suspicious mountain. I have no idea where this is supposed to be. This whole scene, I believe it was shot on a backlot on a stage, and it kind of feels like it. They have this conversation on this weird mountain that's like, it's like a 20-foot tall sort of cragged mountain that's over a forest that really feels like a soundstage. It's an interesting scene, but yeah, the geography of it is questionable, I think. Thor and Loki have some catch-up dialogue for people in case you missed or don't remember the movie Thor. And there's a bit of side dialogue saying, how much dark energy did the All-Father have to muster to bring you here? Because remember, the Bifrost was destroyed at the end of the movie Thor. So Thor's eyebrows finally looking normal.
Yeah. Thankfully.
Not dyed blonde anymore, fortunately. Mid-conversation, Thor gets tackled by Iron Man. I really do like that. Iron Man tackles Thor and then Loki's just sitting there and he's like, I'm listening.
He's really funny in this scene. So is Thor, for that matter, because then he and Tony face off and he calls him Metal Man.
They face off, the two probably biggest egos of the group, and immediate dislike of each other, which leads to trading blows. You get to see their power set and Iron Man even absorbing some of Thor's lightning and directing it back at him in beams.
Yeah. So I took a page out of Kat Denning's book and referred to, how do you say it?
Mjolnir?
As different things in my notes. This first one, I called it Myanmar.
Myanmar?
I said, Myanmar charged Tony's suit. He's like, awesome.
She usually calls it Mew Mew.
I thought she called it different things.
It's pretty much just Mew Mew.
Okay, well, I called it two different things in my notes.
Well, yeah, she also is like Mew Mew.
Yeah.
This is a fun, well-staged fight scene, but then Cap arrives to break up the fight.
He would be the peacemaker.
Yeah. And he proves his shield can absorb a hit from Mjolnir, which is a fun scene and also, I think, pretty much straight out of the comics.
Oh, okay.
Getting it all out of their system, they all head back to the helicarrier, put Loki in a cell, but he's smirking as he does it. The gang watches Fury interrogate Loki, but Loki is being smarmy and taunting everyone. Thor is like, be careful how you speak of him. He is still my brother. Widow says he's killed 80 people in 2 days. And immediately Thor goes, he's adopted.
He's adopted. They talk about Selvig in this scene because Thor's like, Selvig. And then he says he's a friend. I'm like, he is a friend. They drink Boilermakers together.
They all figure out that Loki is trying to build a portal. We have Tony's grand entrance. He comes in and
he is being a lot.
Apparently he had the improvised line, that man is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
Yeah.
It was improvised by Robert Downey Jr. And then because they all liked it, they found a shot of the day player looking kind of shady.
Yeah.
And they were like, all right, we'll just go ahead and edit in Galaga on his screen.
Yeah, that's funny.
Tony plants a little gadget on Fury's console. This is also where the I understood that reference meme comes from because they're talking about the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, flying monkeys. And Cap's like, I get it.
Stark, Banner, and Cap all think Fury is hiding something because he's the spy while they study the scepter and try to find the Tesseract. This is also where we find out some more background information on Bruce Banner. He says he doesn't it's not like wearing a suit for him. He's like an exposed nerve.
Yeah.
So when he's the Hulk, it's
I get
pretty
it.
torturous for him.
I had a couple questions. One is just a little silly question, which is, did Edward Norton wear glasses as Bruce Banner? I don't remember him wearing glasses ever. Mark Ruffalo puts on little glasses.
I can't remember either. I don't know that he did.
And then also, why does he not want to call the Hulk? He refers to him consistently as the other guy.
Well, the Hulk was more or less a nickname given to the big green rage monster. So they didn't really have a name for it at that point. And I think that's the idea, is that he doesn't like calling it the Hulk because it feels like a bit of him and a bit of his personality, but everyone else calls it the Hulk. So he just sort of reluctantly calls it the Hulk too.
Okay.
This is, then we have we moved your girlfriend to an island scene where Coulson shows Thor a picture of Natalie Portman and is like, yeah, we sent her off to a conference and that's why she's not in this movie.
Yeah, sure. Makes sense.
I don't know how verifiable this is. I read that she was going to make a cameo, but then ended up being pregnant while they were shooting the movie. So it wasn't actually available.
They could have added that to the story. I'm pregnant and it's your baby.
That
Thor.
would be... That would be a lot for this movie.
Okay.
A movie where there's already a lot
I'm just
going
brainstorming.
on. I'm sure some studio head somewhere will take your suggestions at some point. Now we get to the scene with Loki alone in his cell. Then suddenly Black Widow sneaks up on him. This is the very fun scene where, again, it seems like Widow is negotiating with him, but really getting information out of him.
I knew it was a trick when she turned her back, and it's supposed to seem like she's upset by what he's saying.
She's like, you're a monster.
You're a monster. And then she turns around and we don't see her face. And I'm like, oh, we saw her do this before. This is a trick. She says to him in this scene when she first comes to talk to him, and it is a great scene. They are both excellent in this scene. But she says it's not exactly this, but it's basically, I have a particular set of skills. And I was like, is she Liam Neeson in Taken?
I mean, more or less. This is where we find out that the reason she and Clint Barton are so close is because he was sent to assassinate her when she was working as a bad guy, but instead recruited her and brought her into S.H.I.E.L.D. So they have a very close platonic bond. It's not necessarily clear from this movie. I don't know if you got any kind of romantic overtones or anything. Okay, yeah, no. They're
not with them.
Yeah, they have a very strong platonic friendship, and it's so great. And
oh God,
I
is
love
it
the way
going to
that
change?
No.
Oh, okay.
And that stays true through the rest of
Is she going to have
Marvel
a romantic
movies.
storyline with anyone?
Kind of, but it shows up. It shows up for one movie and then kind of gets dropped after that.
I picked up on some vibes with some other characters, but I didn't know if that's.
Who?
I thought she was vibing with Cap and Banner.
We'll see what happens with those two characters moving forward and Black Widow. But yeah, she talks about how she's got red in her ledger, wants to wipe it out. Mm-hmm. This is also the scene. The only reason I know the phrase Mewling Quim is because that got introduced. Joss Whedon.
Isn't that the hammer?
No. Mewling Quim is old-fashioned language. It basically means whiny cunt.
Oh my God.
And so that was...
You need to warn me before you say that.
That was Joss Whedon sneaking that into a PG-13 movie.
Oh. We can't release that on our podcast.
I'm not the
my
one who's...
stars.
Are you scandalized?
I am.
That turns out that Loki's play is to utilize Banner. She's like,
she says, you're a monster. And he says, you brought the monster. And then she's like, and now I'm normal again. It's Banner. He's going to use him.
They all get together in the lab. And
I wish this was a visual medium because I just flipped my hair. I do have a question because there's something that gets revealed here about why Bruce came, and I didn't really understand it. It's like he knew Loki wanted him to come.
The idea is Loki manipulated all of this because Loki knew that they would bring Hulk.
Right, which I got that from Loki's what he said.
Mhm.
But then it feels like Bruce is kind of like, yeah, I knew that I was being brought here to be a monster.
No, but they did bring, because they have that containment cage that was built for the Hulk. And
Okay.
that was a whole thing about like, he was upset that they have a Hulk cage.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. I have a note here that there is too much happening. So that's kind of where I was at.
Everyone's yelling at each other. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been building weapons based on the Hydra weapons from World War II. Everyone is mad and yelling, and the camera flies over the scepter, indicating that they're all being influenced by the scepter, and it's all making them all a little wonky.
This is where Tony and Cap have the conversation at some point around here.
Yeah, put on the suit.
Uh-huh.
This is the conversation where he's like, what are, without the suit, what are you? And he's like, genius, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist.
Yeah. Well, no, but this is where I thought that their conversation was really interesting, because this is when they're kind of all fighting, and Tony is like, what are you? You are only the way that you are because somebody gave you something. Like, he doesn't say this outright, but the implication is like, I built this suit.
Everything that was great
how
about
does
you
Jeff
was made
Bridges
in a
say
lab.
it? He made this from a pile of scraps.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a genius, but he's also pretty selfish. And Cap is only a superhero because he was given a serum, but he has such a good heart. And so I just thought it was like an interesting argument to be having of like, who is really better? Is anyone better than the other?
Well, and they're all poking at each other's insecurities because, who are you without the suit? And it's like, well, he's still Iron Man. He's still Tony Stark.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. He says, everything great about you, my dad cooked up in a lab. And that's also not true. That's the whole point of Steve Rogers. So they're also just poking at each other's insecurities, and that's the influence.
I just thought it was an interesting debate.
Cap tells Tony for the first time, you're not the guy to make the sacrifice play. We know that Steve Rogers is. That was what got him the job in the first place. We also have the moment where Banner says, you can't kill me. I got low. I put a bullet in my mouth and the other guy spit it out. And then at the peak moment, while they're all yelling at each other, Bruce saying, you want to know my secret agent Romanoff? But he grabs the scepter and everyone's freaking out because he's holding the scepter and doesn't even necessarily realize
like
it.
River in Firefly.
A little bit, yeah, actually. The instruments light up. They've located the Tesseract, but before anybody can do anything about it, bad guys attack. Bad guys and a hijacked Quinjet attack and send the helicarrier into panic mode, which then Cap and Tony say, put on the suit. And he's like, yep. Widow is wounded and trapped under some debris, but Hulk is freaking out, or Bruce Banner is freaking out and starting to change. Widow tries to get him to calm down, but he doesn't. And we get our first real Hulk out and our first look at now comic accurate and good looking.
Yeah, looks better.
He doesn't look like a steroid monster anymore. He looks like the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And he also looks like Mark Ruffalo. I mentioned this in our Incredible Hulk episode, but they made Mark Ruffalo sign this crazy contract to make sure that, like, if we're going to make him look like you, then you need to be up for like 12 movies or something.
Yeah.
Stark and Cap go to repair the helicarrier. Hulk goes ragey, tries to kill Widow and just wrecks shit before Hulk can slap Widow to death, I guess. Thor tackles him through a wall, and we have a Thor and Hulk fight, also pretty much straight from the comics, especially the scene when Thor hits Hulk in the face with Mjolnir.
Yeah.
It's a nice bit.
I wrote Malamar to the rescue.
I like the bit of Mjolnir's resting on the ground and Hulk is trying to lift it and absolutely cannot lift it. And him just trying to do so is breaking the floor. Fury orders a guy in a jet to distract Hulk. We get Target is angry. Hulk jumps out.
Pilot guy.
And just rips the jet to shreds. The pilot ejects. Hulk catches him and then just throws him off. He still survives though. And then Hulk is flung away, falling down out of this scene. Thor goes to see Loki just as his cell is opening and he's being let out by some hired goons. And Loki pulls a Charlie Brown with the football and Thor tackles a hologram and gets trapped in the cell instead. Coulson shows up with a weapon based on the destroyer, says he doesn't even know what it does. Shall we find out? And then Loki sneaks up behind Coulson and stabs him in the back with the scepter.
Yeah, very sad.
Coulson goes down. Loki drops the cell with Thor in it, and Thor barely manages to break out of the cage before it smashes on a beach. While dying, Coulson tells Loki he's going to lose, then gets off a nice blast with the destroyer gun and the line, "So that's what it does." I love Clark Gregg's delivery.
Yeah, Greggy. I said, great job, Greggy.
Widow and Hawkeye fight after Hawkeye disables the helicarrier with a special hacking arrow.
You know, that one that everybody has. Every archer.
Once they fight, she bangs his head, and apparently all it takes to undo Loki's brainwashing from the scepter is a light concussion.
Yeah.
Tony and Cap get the propeller fixed. The bad guys leave in a Quinjet. Fury finds a dying Coulson. He's down, but while he's dying, tells Fury that it's okay, the team needed the push, and Agent Coulson dies. Apparently, Joss Whedon has a reputation for killing fan favorite characters.
We can't talk about this right now.
All of his works.
I'm gonna just lose it.
This was not Joss Whedon's doing. This was actually Kevin Feige mandating. They said they needed someone to die. They couldn't kill any of the main cast members.
This is the thing. That's true. This is my thing. I was very sad that he died, but it made sense. It was plot relevant. It moved the plot forward. It had significance to what was going on. I do not feel that way about Alan Tudyk in Serenity. That was just to hurt us.
I won't necessarily argue against that.
If it serves the plot, I will be sad, but I will understand a death. But if it just is there to shock us and make us feel bad, like, I know you like this, so this is gonna make you feel some feelings, right? That's not enough. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Fury shows them the Captain America cards, and
he throws them on a table. They're covered in blood. He says that they were in Coulson's jacket.
Did he dip them in blood?
So we do find out later, Maria Hill confronts Fury and says those weren't actually in Coulson's jacket. They were in his locker. And he's like, they needed the push.
Yeah.
Which means that, yes, he went and got the vintage trading cards, ruined them by running them through Coulson's blood to make a dramatic point.
And
even
how
though
quickly
they were
did he do
probably
that?
very valuable.
How quickly did he do that? Because blood dries pretty fast.
Well, there was a lot of blood, so.
He saw him dying and he was like running to the locker to get the cards.
So Fury gives them the dramatic rallying speech. There was an idea that comes back later on. Then we have Banner coming to in the rubble of a building with a security guard played by Harry Dean Stanton.
Okay.
I
did recognize him.
He's that guy.
Yeah.
Exclamation point, depending on.
I would call him a that guy, period. To me.
Points out that
he's great in this scene, though. He's so funny.
Apparently, the scene was like 12 pages. They had to whittle it down a lot. Whedon said he wanted a scene where someone was accepting of the Hulk and wasn't necessarily making him feel like a monster. Also points out that Banner was in control and actually managed to steer away from doing any damage and just steered himself into an empty warehouse where he crashed. Back on the helicarrier, Barton comes to, shaking off the mind control. He and Widow have their conversation. He says, "You know what it's like to be unmade?" And she says, "You know I do," referencing her time as a Black Widow in the Red Room. We'll get to more of that later on. Cap and Tony have their talk about Coulson, where Tony is very rattled being this close to people who died and seeing this combat up close and not necessarily being able to save people. Cap tells Tony that sometimes there isn't a way out.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was just going to say is that like that really is so Tony because he does think that he can be in control of all this, but like that's not always how it works.
Mm-hmm.
And I do feel like the person that understands the most, probably out of any of these people, is Cap.
Yeah, the guy who made the self-sacrifice and thought he was going to die, but ended up being a capsicle for 70 years.
Well, yeah, and was in a war.
Mm-hmm. So after this scene, Tony figures out Loki's real motive and has the realization that, oh, yeah, of course, he's going to use Stark Tower to open up the portal.
He wants to have a big tower with his name on it or something, he says.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, shit.
Son of a bitch. So the gang hijacks a Quinjet and suits up and heads to New York. And now we begin the third act, also known as the Battle of New York. When they arrive, Tony arrives first. He can't stop the portal, so he has a conversation with Loki. This is a fun moment. He gets to drop the line, Earth's mightiest heroes, another long-running catchphrase for the Avengers. Nice. Loki says, I have an army. Tony says, we have a Hulk. That got played in pretty much every single trailer and TV spot, but it's a great line. And of course, if we can't protect the Earth, you can be damn sure we'll avenge it. Loki ends the conversation by trying to control Tony, but Tony's arc reactor in his chest
pokes his heart, but there's no heart there.
Well, there is a heart there. But the arc reactor is in the way. So it's poking the arc reactor.
Not right where he's poking. His heart is protected.
And it doesn't work.
Loki is just like, wait, what?
He's like, that usually works.
They both kind of look blankly at each other. But it really underscores how ridiculous it is that he's like, I poke your heart with my scepter. Nothing's happening.
To be fair,
I'm doing a lot of gesturing.
Everyone calls it Loki's scepter. It was gifted to him. It's not really his scepter. So he doesn't necessarily know how it works.
Oh, true. Okay. Well, he's figured out that you can poke people in the heart and get them to be brainwashed, but he's just not expecting arc reactor heart.
Right. So he throws Tony out the window. Tony summons his new Mark 7 suit, which manages to assemble itself on him just in time.
Jarvis had said it's not ready.
The ground. Mm-hmm.
But thankfully it worked.
It was ready enough.
At this point, I write, I want to see a movie about the people whose commute got interrupted.
The portal opens and the Chitauri, the bad guy army that the good guys can fight endlessly for a PG-13 rating.
How do we know that they're called the Chitauri?
It's mentioned a few times. It's said a few times in the movie.
Non-English words sometimes just like skate over my brain.
The Chitauri start pouring through and start wrecking shit in Manhattan. It's really interesting. Some of the behind the scenes stuff on this, the bridge that a lot of the action takes place on, I don't remember what bridge it is. It's like 44th Street or something like that. I don't remember. That bridge was a set that was built in, I believe they filmed this mostly in New Mexico. So the bridge was a set and the rest of New York was actually photorealistically recreated by Industrial Light and Magic. Industrial Light and Magic more or less made a one-to-one model of Manhattan. So they went through and painstakingly licensed every single building that they would need to and actually just recreated a digital Manhattan. They were like, well, we'll probably use this again for other Marvel stuff. So, and they do. But yeah, they basically just completely recreated Manhattan so they could smash it.
That's cool.
During these scenes, we see a lot of close-ups of Ashley Johnson as a waitress. Mm-hmm. How do you know Ashley Johnson?
So she was in Growing Pains. Mm-hmm. She was the baby. Well, they have a baby, and then the next season she's 5, and she was Ashley Johnson. I mean, this is not how I recognize her face, but she was one of the voices on the animated show Recess, which I liked.
Yeah, she's a very prolific voice actress.
And she was also in a remake of Annie.
Oh, okay.
Not the one. My favorite version of Annie was from the 80s, but I think I have seen the version with Ashley Johnson.
Okay.
And there may have been some other things, but those are the ones that come to mind.
More recently, she's also one of the cast members of Critical Role, which is the group of voice actors who play Dungeons and Dragons for fun and profit. So she's one of them as well. A lot of close-ups of her because she had a bigger part that got cut because the movie was dragging a little bit. It does feel a little out of place because you've got like these close-ups of Ashley Johnson and she really only has like one or two lines in the movie as it exists. In the original cut of the movie, or in the deleted scene, I should say, in the deleted scene, there's a scene where Steve Rogers is hanging out at that cafe outside of Stark Tower and she's the waitress there and she comes and kind of flirts with him and they have a bit of a moment, and after she flirts with him a little bit, then behind him Stan Lee was there, the original Stan Lee cameo. He was there and he leans over his shoulder and is like, ask her for her number, stupid. So it's just supposed to be a moment of Cap having, you know, kind of a I'm uncomfortable with everything and trying to get back in the world moment. Okay. But it didn't really fit in the movie, so they cut it, but her character was still around. And so that's why during all of the... It seems
like she's important, but then she's really not.
Yeah. Thor and Loki face off, which partially wrecks the Stark Tower sign. Loki shoots down the Quinjet that has Hawkeye and Cap in it, so they go down and start trying to rescue civilians. This is when the giant worm, the first giant worm, Chitauri, I guess, I don't know, I'm just going to call them the big worms. The first big worm comes through the portal. It's like a worm and not, but it also has little Chitauri guys shooting off the sides and wrecking stuff. Cap runs into the cops, starts giving orders to the cops, but crusty old cop doesn't listen. The younger cop, played by Enver Jokai, who you would probably recognize from the episode of Community where he is Abed and Troy's genocidal friend.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I recognized him. He was on Dollhouse, which was the Joss Whedon show. He played a fairly major part on that and was really fantastic in that show. He's played some other parts too. He's definitely that guy, ? But he's a fantastic actor who I guess just doesn't have a great agent for whatever reason. And also he has a name that's Enver Jokai.
Yeah, that's
very hard to pronounce. And it's not spelled like that at all.
Oh, okay. This scene with the cops, it explains one of the notes I had that I did not remember what it meant, which was show don't tell, right, Cap?
Yeah, because crusty old cop doesn't want to listen to
Like,
Cap.
why should I listen to you?
And then Cap just takes out like 3 or 4 Chitauri effortlessly, and then the crusty old cop just immediately starts doing what Cap said.
Yeah, he's like, oh, I don't remember. I wish I remembered exactly what he said. Like, you need to isolate these people, and you need to get these guys. And then he's like, I want to isolate these people. Gonna get these guys out here.
The gang meets up on the bridge, and then Banner just slowly rolls up on a motorcycle.
Is it actually a motorcycle, or is it like a Vespa? Because it looked small.
It was like a small motorcycle.
Because it was kind of cute. He just like rolls up.
He says, so this all seems horrible.
Yeah. He's so cute. Is Black Widow's gun special? Is it like a special gun? Because it looked a little bit ridiculous when they were all together, and it's like
yeah, they all
Thor
have
has his hammer and Cap has his shield and Tony's in the suit, and then she just has a gun.
Yeah, no, it's just a gun. She has her widow stingers, her bracelets that do electric
I guess that's true, but there's a moment where it's just like panning around them and she's just holding like a small gun, and I'm like, that is ridiculous.
Tony brings the big worm their way. Then that's when we get to my favorite line of the movie, the payoff of everything. You want to know my secret, Cap? He says,
because he says you need to get angry, I think. Tony says
no, Cap says this would be a good time for you to get angry.
Get angry, yes.
And he's like, that, you know, want to know my secret, Cap? I'm always angry.
Yeah.
And then he just hulks out, and a controlled hulk out, and then punches the big worm in the head, knocking the armor off, letting Tony Stark shoot it and blow it up. All the Chitauri are angry, and we get the awesome hero shot where we have the 6 of them in the circle, and the camera pans around them. I love this shot. That
might be the
so
shot I'm
fun.
talking about with the gun, because then Banner is also the Hulk, and so she just looks totally unprepared.
Banner's yelling.
I mean, even Hawkeye has a bow and arrow. Yeah. That's a little bit more intimidating than. I mean, guns can do a lot of damage, but you know what I mean, for like a superhero larger than life kind of situation.
It's a fantastic shot. The music is blaring with the theme, and it all kicks in, and it's you've got Hulk yelling. It's an iconic shot. I cannot help but fanboy out when that shot comes up every time. It's just one of those moments that gives my, inner 12-year-old nerd goosebumps.
Aww.
It's so much fun. So now Cap fully comes into his own as the leader of the team, starts telling everyone what to do. And this is the moment when he gives Hulk the orders, and Hulk smash.
They didn't say Hulk smash in The Incredible Hulk, did they?
No, not really.
I didn't think so.
The team starts acting like a team, actually working together, utilizing all their strengths. I will say, though, in all of this comic book shenanigans, the one part that bothers me the most is when Widow gets a ride by hopping onto one of the speeders. The way the VFX make it look, it should break her arm. She grabs onto the speeder as it's flying by at like 40 miles an hour, and she grabs it with one arm.
She's been training for this.
They could have done it in a couple of different ways that would make it so it didn't look like it necessarily whipped her as hard, but the way that it came together, it just looks like it really should just rip her arm out of the socket, and it doesn't. She's not supposed to have super strength. So that's the part that always bothers me the most about this movie, with all of this other insanity going on. Not the giant physics defying flying aircraft carrier with stealth panels, but the fact that Scarlett Johansson's arm isn't ripped off by this scooter that she grabs flying by. The battle commences. We have another of my favorite shots, which is the big one take that zooms around Manhattan and shows all the heroes utilizing their powers and fighting off the Chitauri, which ends with Hulk and Thor crashing one of the big worms into Grand Central Station, and then the nice little stinger of Hulk and Thor catching their breath for a second, and then Hulk just giving a quick punch to Thor and knocking him off the worm corpse. It was a great moment. Cap saves a bunch of civilians, including Ashley Johnson, randomly. Selvig comes to and starts shaking off his mind control because, again, all you need to do to get out of the influence of the scepter is have a little light concussion.
Yep. I called it his Loki fugue.
The World Security Council has made a decision, but it's a stupid-ass decision. They decide that they are going to try to nuke Manhattan.
Sure.
Fury countermands that.
How many people live in Manhattan?
A lot. Like several million.
Millions.
Yeah, millions and millions of people.
Not really a great idea.
Hawkeye shoots an arrow at Loki. Loki thinks he's clever catching it, but it literally blows up in his face, knocking him onto the top floor of Stark Tower. This is when Hulk comes and has it out. Loki tries to yell at him, and this is by far one of my favorite moments in the scene. Hulk doesn't let him talk, just grabs him and just beats the ever-loving shit out of him.
It looks like a dog with a squirrel toy, just like throwing it from side to side.
It's so funny. It's never not funny to me. It cracks me up every single time. Watching this in theaters, the first time I saw it, no one could hear Hulk's line afterwards when Hulk says puny god. No one could hear it because everyone was laughing so hard. Great. It was one of those moments where the entire theater was just erupting in laughter. It was fantastic. Selvig tells Widow that even though he was under the influence of the scepter, he was still able to build in a failsafe, and the scepter will be able to close the portal.
Who is he? Galen Erso?
Oh, you're such a nerd. Yeah. I married a nerd.
Oh, sound mad about it.
The battle starts to go badly. Things start to go bad for everyone.
There's an over-reliance on breaking windows as a way of conveying chaos and violence because they break so many windows throughout this whole movie.
It's a PG-13
I know.
movie.
In every single action scene, people are just crashing through windows all over the place.
To be fair, there are a lot of windows in Manhattan.
Well, that's true. There are a lot of windows in Manhattan. Poor custodial staff of Manhattan, just all over the island. Cap and Thor have a moment. at some point.
Yeah, they're fighting together, and there's the fun shot where they're both catching their respective instruments. Cap's catching the shield and Thor is catching Mjolnir. That one was actually done old-fashioned. They shot it in reverse.
Oh.
So they had Hemsworth and Evans. They had the Chris's
Best
together.
friends, the Chris's.
They had them together and basically doing the moves for that shot backwards and then throwing the hammer and the shield so it looks like they're catching them.
Which one do you prefer? Which Chris do you prefer?
Evans.
Me too.
Hemsworth is great, but Evans.
Yeah, same. Agreed.
So the battle is going poorly. The council orders the nuke. Fury shoots down the first plane, but a second one is able to launch. I like that Fury still is going to try to pull a gun. He's like got a little 9mm. He's going to try to shoot down a gun, shoot down a plane with a 9mm.
Guns are less powerful than you think, guys.
Widow gets ready to close the portal, but Tony says, wait, because there's a nuke inbound. He grabs the nuke, tries to call Pepper, but she misses the call.
Enthralled by the news.
Yes. Tony flies the nuke through the portal and manages to hit the mothership with it, blowing the mothership up and immediately disabling all the Chitauri on Earth because apparently they all need the mothership to work.
Tony.
Widow closes the portal and Stark falls through right as it closes, but his suit is out of power. Thor goes to catch him, but before he can, Hulk jumps up and saves him. They land on the bridge. Tony is passed out, but Hulk resuscitates him by yelling, which wakes Tony up. Tony makes a mild gay panic joke. It was 2012.
That's true. I said, oh, come on, Tony. Let one of these pretty men kiss you.
And
you like it.
Tony mentions that he did spot a shawarma joint and really wants shawarma.
Because it's like they're not done yet, right? Like they still have some
They still have to go
do.
Confront Loki. Yeah, they still have to go wrap it up with Loki.
It's like he's like, but I'd rather just go get shawarma.
Shawarma after.
I had seen the shawarma place.
You
Shawarma Palace.
Noticed it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They actually, I believe they digitally inserted it in to fit with the shawarma joke because I believe that was another Robert Downey Jr. improv.
Oh, okay. Wow. I think it was next to like a Dwayne Reed, which tracks for Manhattan.
And there were also a lot of Dr. Pepper banners because Dr. Pepper had the sponsorship deal. So
now, again, I'm like, let's get shawarma.
After getting knocked around like a dog toy, Loki finally comes to, but the team is facing him down with their hero pose and the music playing. Loki says, if it's all the same to you, I'll have that drink now. And now the movie starts to wrap up with the somber aftermath music. I believe some of this was like, we just destroyed Manhattan. It's only been 10 years since 9/11. We should have a little bit more of a somber recognition of all of the damage that happened here. I think it works. One of the big criticisms of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel is that movie has a similar or higher level of destruction of the fictional city Metropolis, which is very New York-like. And
such a clever name.
There was not really any kind of recognition of that destruction. It was just sort of mindless destruction, and then no one really cares about the little people. What that says about Zack Snyder as a filmmaker is up for debate, but this is again something that I think the Avengers gets right, and that it definitely helps make the movie land, because we just had this big action sequence, but there were consequences, and there were definitely lives lost, there's memorials, but also they saved the world, and people the world over are now celebrating these larger than life characters as heroes. We also get
some people are skeptical, though.
Some people are skeptical, and we get our actual Stan Lee cameo, the one that made the cut of the movie.
And I notoriously miss every Stan Lee cameo, was so excited to not miss this one. I was like, I see him.
Now you know what Stan Lee looks like.
I knew what he looked like. I've seen Mallrats. I just would, maybe I was always taking a note during his cameos, or I don't know. No, because I did in the Thor episode, I said I saw him. I just didn't realize it was him. So I have no idea, but I recognized him this time, and I was very proud of myself.
The Security Council debriefs Fury with some denouement dialogue. Thor takes the Tesseract.
They're like, the council's like, the Avengers are dangerous. This is a bad idea. They're so dangerous. I'm like, you tried to nuke Manhattan.
Thor takes the Tesseract and Loki back to Asgard using the Tesseract.
He should have taken a Wizard of Oz DVD.
Transport back.
Two. I mean, he can take Loki and the Tesseract too, but just grab some Wizard of Oz.
Tony and Bruce leave in the product placement Acura. The music swells. Fury says they'll come back together if they're needed, because we will need them to. Tony starts making plans with Pepper and the crashed out Stark Tower, and the camera zooms out to show the remaining A
for Avengers
on what will become Avengers Tower.
You did call it Avengers Tower earlier, and I was like, oh, is that what it is after this movie?
Oh yeah. It was Stark Tower. Yeah. Now it is Avengers Tower. The credits kick in. I love this credit sequence with all the close-ups of their gear. It was done by Method Design. I showed you there's a website I really love called Art of the Title that talks about title sequences that have a lot of care and love put into them, and I really like the Art of the Title feature on that. But I swear, after this movie came out, I probably watched just that title sequence like a dozen times, just because the music is fantastic. It's got the Avengers overture, and the credits are perfectly timed for it, and it's such a great sequence. Yeah, it's a great way to end the movie. We have our mid-credits scene. The other is talking and saying, to challenge the humans is to court death. And we finally see the shadowy figure that was responsible for it all, a large purple man.
Oh, purple. I thought he was red.
It's purple. It's kind of a pinkish purple in this, but he's purple. Do you know who that character is?
No.
You might recognize the name.
Okay.
Thanos.
Oh, yeah, I do recognize that name. Okay, that's Thanos?
That's Thanos. Okay. The first appearance of Thanos. Not played here by the person who will play him for the rest of the Marvel movies.
Which is who? For
the rest of the Marvel movies, Thanos will be played by Josh Brolin.
Oh, okay.
But here, it's just a cameo. They just, some guy in makeup. And then the post-credits scene, famously, the crew just sitting in a restaurant enjoying shawarma.
I mean, the restaurant is in disarray because it's been impacted by the chaos. They are in disarray because they have just been fighting off a supernatural army.
It is a hilarious post-credit scene. It was actually shot 2 days after the world premiere of the movie. So the movie premiered, they were all in one spot together. I don't remember if it was Los Angeles or New York, but they were all together. Oh. And then it was like, well, let's film this just as a fun bit to do it. So they all got in costume. Part of the reason why you don't see Steve Rogers' face, Steve just kind of has his face in his hands because he had started growing a beard for Snowpiercer, I believe. Okay. But for another part, he had started growing a beard. So they basically just had him cover his face with his hands and I think digitally remove the rest of the beard. But
so the scene was because of convenience, they were together. I thought it was because people went to the world premiere and they were like, but did they get the shawarma?
No, it's just a fun...
This is an unanswered question.
It's a fun button.
Well, I loved it. It was so great.
It is fantastic. It's just quiet and they're all...
It's really funny.
They're all having different emotions, but just eating the shawarma quietly.
So like, that's the thing is that like, it's really funny because I feel like the way that they look is not dissimilar to how I have looked with like friends back in the day after like a late night out where we're hungover, but instead they've just been, saving the world.
Right.
Tomato, tomato.
Yeah, same thing. So that was the Avengers.
It was very fun. What's next?
What is next? I always forget.
Is it Iron Man 3?
It might be Iron Man 3. I actually believe it is Thor 2. So I'm going to double check. Thor 2. Oh, no, it is. It is actually Iron Man 3.
Cool.
So we have Iron Man 3, followed by Thor, The Dark World.
Oh.
And then Captain America, The Winter Soldier.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Well, there we go. I really enjoyed it. It was a good time. I liked all of them, all the gang.
Yeah, I mean, and this is why the MCU works or worked. I guess you could make arguments about whether or not these days it's doing as well as it used to, but this movie really did bring everything together in a way that made it fun, and it worked, and it worked fantastically. And it really, it launched all of these people. They weren't, most of them were stars before, but now they are worldwide mega superstars. It raised the profile of all of these heroes. Before these movies, the most popular Marvel heroes were Spider-Man and the X-Men, who did not appear anywhere near this movie. And the movie made these characters super popular. They took the B team of comic book heroes and made them as famous or more famous than some of the other comic book heroes who have endured throughout the years.
I mean, I had only, we've talked about this before. I had only seen a handful of superhero movies, and not all of them were Marvel, but I knew all of these characters. Like, I had heard of them. I knew who played them. I mean, so far, every episode we've recorded, when you've asked me what I know about it, I'm like, such and such is this character. So it's, I mean, if it was even reaching me, an oblivious 102-year-old, then it's culturally dominant for sure.
But there's a reason it's culturally dominant. It's a fun movie. The dialogue is cracking. It is endlessly quotable and memeable. It's rough in some spots, but what works so perfectly well. And it's why I love these Marvel movies so much. It really is indicative of everything. This movie is the perfect representation of everything I love about comic book movies and superheroes and nerd culture.
Yeah.
And I would say it's easily, I don't know if it's my favorite. It's definitely not my favorite superhero movie of all time, because there's also Into the Spider-Verse, which is fantastic. And there's also The Incredibles, which is also fantastic. But it's definitely top 5.
I have never seen The Incredibles.
I know, it's on the list.
Oh, it is? Okay, good. I wasn't sure if I'd confessed that to you. Well, I have been enjoying myself. I really did like this one. I feel like I've enjoyed all of the movies, even the ones that were maybe a little bit weaker, as we've discussed. But I love an ensemble cast. I don't know if going into this, if I would have called them a ragtag group of rascals, which is now my favorite saying to describe an ensemble cast in any movie, basically. But they are kind of ragtag. So it was great to see everybody together. And I feel like that will, I don't know what to expect for the future movies that are more focused on one of the characters. Like, as you just said, the next 3 titles are one character each. So I don't know who we see and whatever, but I think that having known that they were together is going to really bolster my enjoyment of the films to come.
Okay. Well, that was the MCU Phase 1. We close the door on that and we begin MCU Phase 2.
All right. Well, in closing, let's go watch The Wizard of Oz.
And pretend that Thor is watching it with us.
Yeah, I love it.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you for watching The Avengers with me, and thank you for listening. I am Dan.
I'm Heather.
And this has been Blind Spots and Second Thoughts. We'll catch you next time.